afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the SME Connect. Remember, to get onto the SME Connect, you have three ways of doing that. One, we are on Twitter, Comrade Otoa Jr. We're on Facebook, Comrade Otoa Jr. as well. But most important of all, we're on YouTube. So follow our YouTube channel, which is SME Connect, and don't forget to subscribe. It's important for you to subscribe so you can get the latest videos that are coming from our way. Videos that talk about how SMEs can actually survive, how SMEs can actually grow, how SMEs can tell a beautiful story of their contribution to the economy. Now, today is a very, very interesting conversation. For a very, very long time, we've had people speak about COVID and how it's impacting on businesses. A lot of these discussions have been coming from a high-level point of view. And again, you can also see from the previous conversations, many of them were from a high-level point of view. But we forgot to think about the common man, Omuntu Wawansi, the people who actually run the biggest chunk of businesses, the biggest SMEs or contribution in terms of SME numbers in the country. Now, we thought and we felt that it's important for us to have and factor in these people. They're a very massive number within our economy. They contribute a lot in terms of jobs, again, contributions as well to the GDP. But most important of all, they are your ordinary people. They are you. They are your startups. They are your traders. They are the people who actually steer our economy. So I just thought about who I could invite. Boom, my mind just thought about two very impressive ladies. Now, these are ladies who are in the thick of things. Not only do they understand the sector in terms of helping small businesses, but they are also part of the whole story. They teach, they mentor, and they're practical when it comes to SMEs. The first guest who I have on the show today is Dana Ntamu. She is the director of entrepreneurship of the Entrepreneurship Center at the Makerere University Business School. She is also a staff within the same faculty at the business school. And what the center does is to foster entrepreneurship in the country through its various activities, including training, provision of business information, and research. Diana will tell us more. But also, she is responsible for the formulation of the strategic planning and implementation of the center. She has led teams in research at the center, and she is the secretary of the GEM research team in Uganda, which is the flagship of the Center of Research. She has in the past done a lot of research on family businesses. She has also done research on roadside markets and currently doing research on women and entrepreneurship. Again, focusing as well on transgenerational transfer as well of businesses, especially the family businesses, and entrepreneurship in the times of climate change. And I guess now her possible conversation will be entrepreneurship in the COVID or post-COVID phase. We shall hear that from her. Our other guest is Paula Mugisa. She is a business development consultant and again, amazing person when it comes to business development for small businesses. She is the founder and team leader at TESA Advisory Services. Paula has studied business entrepreneurship at the University of Buckingham University. She is a very innovative lady. She won an innovative award at the World Application Company, for a mobile application company, which she founded and it's called Student Proxy, and she did this while at the University of Oxford. She has started and helped set up, grow many businesses in Uganda, and right now she's doing something that she will tell us more about. She, of course, transitioned into TESA Advisory Services, which really does a lot of digital business offerings for small businesses. So, ladies, welcome to the show and good afternoon.
Hi, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much.
So, let me first start with you, Diana. How's it been? I mean, you've been a very busy lady. Trying to get hold of you in the past few days has been quite interesting. You've been very busy. What is it that you're trying to work around small businesses and how these businesses can actually survive in COVID and post-COVID?
Well, thank you very much, Tony. The first thing I really want to say is that no person had predicted COVID. No amount of strategic planning would have predicted that something like this would happen. And that would wake up and would not be able to just go about our activities, our normal duties, going to the market, going to buy things, going to attend meetings. Nobody anticipated that. So first of all, I really must say that it is a very big shock for everybody, for the business people, for the people who are doing other things outside business. But for the entrepreneur, I really must say that COVID-19 has hit hard. So it means that we are in changing times. And therefore, I would like to say, as the person who has been in the business school, working with businesses and teaching change and creativity, the entrepreneur thrives on change. Yeah. Any entrepreneur, whether you're small, whether you're big, you should thrive on the change that is currently taking place. I'll just give a simple example. Excuse me. I'll give a simple example of a lot of people, small business people that have changed the way things that have changed what they're doing. People have, if you look, for instance, at a border person who was told not to carry a passenger. The borders are in the business of delivery. They were not doing delivery. Well, they were delivering people in places. So we are thriving on change. Business has to thrive on change and say, what is it that I can do during this time? You recall that as the lockdown started, we all went to the supermarkets to buy hand sanitizers. Yeah. And they were too expensive. They were too expensive. But the local companies have already shifted to making hand sanitizers. So yesterday I was in the supermarket and I could afford to buy a hand sanitizer. Now, these companies were not doing hand sanitizers before. So the question we must ask ourselves is whether I am small or I am big, what is the opportunity for me in the changing times, COVID-19? What is it that I can offer my customers? What can I do? I know some women in the market. When I go to the market, I like to talk to business people. So I usually create relationships with them. So I usually take their numbers sometimes. You know what they've been doing for me? They've been doing my shopping. And then I realized that I think maybe when after COVID, I don't even need to go back to the market. Okay, exactly. So this lady does my shopping. I do my order, I send my order, and she does the shopping, and the border guy delivers at home. What are we trying to say? That the entrepreneur thrives on change. We cannot sit back. I mean, it is really hard. We can't sit back and say, well, it is COVID-19. We must survive. The kind of business people you're talking about, Tony, the small micro enterprise, we have to survive. It is really about survival. What do I have to do? So the question is, what kind of opportunity are we seeing in the COVID-19? Because entrepreneurs see opportunities where others do not see. True. And maybe what is most important is for us to understand that we are thriving on technology to be able to do that. You must have a phone. I must be able to call you. I must be able to send you a message. Maybe you don't even have WhatsApp, but I can call you. Okay? And it teaches us to know our customers and talk to them to a point that we even get their contact. Because right now, people are stuck in their houses. They've been doing shopping, but they don't know anybody in the market. They have not been talking to anybody. So what does that tell the entrepreneur? When you're interacting with your customer, can you do something a little more? Can you get to know them? Can you take their contact? Can you pick interest to them? So that when you're not able to do the physical meeting, perhaps you can talk. So I can say for now that there is so much opportunity for the entrepreneur to say, what can I do? And we also now need to know, what COVID is also teaching us is that business and health cannot be separated anymore. So if we are thinking about our businesses, the concept of health and business are together. We can't split them. So if post-COVID, I would like to be sure that I am safe when I come to your business. What does it mean for the entrepreneur? You have the opportunity to produce to come up with new products, to provide a new service, or even the process of delivery itself should assure the customer that they'll stay healthy. So we now need to think about creativity, being creative and innovating around the current situation. And one of the popular scholars of management, Peter Drucker, talks about the 7 sources of innovative opportunity. He says there are 7 ways you can innovate. And one of the things he talks about is the unexpected outside event. Now,
like the pandemic.
When I read Peter Drucker's book, I quite understood. But exactly, the unexpected outside event is COVID-19. And it has given chance, it has given opportunity for us all to rethink what we are doing and how we are doing it. That's it I can say for now.
Right. Thank you so much, Diana. Paula, you've been dealing with businesses, and I think what Diana has said is very much what you've also been getting. And again, you've also been dealing with some businesses in this COVID time, trying to sort them out. I've been seeing some of your testimonials, and they are very impressive in how businesses are turning around. What has been the pulse on your side?
Well, it's very, very interesting. We've done business coaching for about 50 businesses in this period, and you know that we have recruited 25 entrepreneurs and their businesses onto our online business to Tandike course. One of the things that is coming up is there are specific opportunities that Ugandans are targeting, the face masks and the hand sanitizers. One of the challenges, if I may call them that, is, in Uganda, we have this mentality to do what everybody else is doing, that we perceive is successful, is going to be successful. We're encouraging the businesses to think about the offering that they already have and how that can be iterated, or how their businesses can pivot to offering something that can serve people now. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in the main groups of things, like health or, sanitizers or masks or stuff like that. There are a lot of companies who are working with who thrived on physical events. We have had one specifically called Swap and Talk that hosted a virtual event of a couple of ladies, and it was the first time that they ever made a profit, because they realized that the cost of having an event online or through Zoom or any one of these channels is cheaper than having a physical event, and so they were actually able to make money. So we're trying to get some of the entrepreneurs. We have a couple who are already in the health sector. We have one that was doing that used to use alcohol and other disinfectants for products for women, and now for them it's not a huge transition to go into sanitizers, but now they're thinking about partnering with essential beauty oil companies so that our sanitizers can have, coconut oil in them, avocado oil in them, stuff like that. So that's kind of, what's happening right now with that.
That's quite interesting. But, all of these things drove me to one conclusion. Shops have been closed for the last 6 weeks. We have another 2 weeks that we are starting. We're going to be pretty much, or businesses are going to be pretty much stressed for one thing. The kind of businesses I'm talking about today are the ones that make sales on a daily, and those sales on a daily at the end of the month contribute towards their rent. Diana, how do we deal with issues of cash flow? How do we deal with speedy maneuvers to get back into shape? If I were a shop owner, for instance, how does that happen?
Well, I think it is going to be, for a developing country like Uganda, I can't promise that it will be easy. I have seen that a number of countries around the world have come up with some kind of plan to give a grant of sorts, a small grant to a business to have it, start. In Uganda, I am not sure if it will be possible to get everybody assisted in that way. And this now will go back to the business, the company itself. As the company was running, what were they making any savings? Were they thinking about investing elsewhere? Of course, even right now, even if you invested elsewhere, the money is not coming in. But the issue is, did the business save something? I think this teaches our businesses the importance of saving however little it is. But also, most importantly, I believe that the way we're going to start this If we're not able to get maybe government giving money or some organization giving money, it would be good for us to leverage our social capital. This is how I think this is going to happen. And this social capital is generated.
Social capital, Diana, in the sense that I have my neighbors around or people that I know who I can sell to my products and all of that.
Social capital in the sense that you know some friends, you know some people, maybe you belong to a group of people, a kind of social group, and perhaps you can access a loan at a much smaller, interest rate, in terms of getting the money to come. But in terms of actually continuing business, again, the social capital is the solution, because you look at who are the immediate people, who are the people around me, okay? Because we have been buying food from the people that we know. I know some farmers who have been selling food. They have pickups, they go to their farms, they pick the food, they call everybody, they take orders, but they call the people that they know. So in terms of continuing, generating some kind of cash flow, you already have some network, you already know some people. Of course, it depends on the nature of your business. But also, in terms of saying, okay, post-COVID, how do I start? Where do I start from? Like I said, we are not really sure how this is going to unfold. Of course, we've had so many plans from the different players in the private sector talking about how they're going to rescue, how businesses need rescue, but not all businesses will actually be rescued. So in the event that is what happens, then we have to look back in the social network and leverage the social ties that we've created for us to be able to access some kind of funding. I believe that quite a number of players will be prioritizing who do we want to assist in this time and how do we want to assist them. So that's it. Something I can share now.
I would like to add on to that, Tony, in terms of cash flow. For small businesses, there are three things which we're telling the businesses that we're working with, especially product-based businesses, to focus on. The first thing is bulk discounts. I mean, it's a little bit counterintuitive of a strategy, but a lot of people are thinking, we're going to be in a pandemic, people are not going to be buying, and so let's overprice our products, which the president warned against. But a lot of product-based businesses, kiosks, supermarkets are not thinking about selling in volume and selling some of their products at cost in order to continue having cash coming in, focusing on the volumes than the usual price of things. I know a lot of customers and a lot of people will appreciate buying more things cheaper than buying things at the same price. So that's one area. Another is repurposing. So I live in an estate that has these small kiosks and bakeries, and they used to sell mandazi, samosas, those kinds of things. They have a small, onions, tomatoes market, and a small fridge that sells sausages. What have they decided to do? They decided to make pizzas. They never made pizzas before, but everyone in the estate is cautious about getting a border man coming into our estate. We have security at all of the roads. They're making pizzas and they're delivering. So this is something that they thought that they were going to do on Wednesdays. They're doing this every single day, Tony, morning and night before 6 p.m. A kiosk that was selling tomatoes, that was selling flour, that had sausages, is now making pizzas. I mean, and another thing is what Diana is talking about. The third strategy is what Diana was talking about in terms of your social capital, which in business is called low-hanging fruit when it comes to customer acquisition. A lot of us haven't taken time to realize that the products and the services that we sell can be consumed by the people around us, by our brothers and sisters and their friends and their cousins. And that's going back to the basics of business. So in business, when you're starting to begin to acquire customers, as Diana will tell you, you start with the low-hanging fruit. Before you start to scale, to people who don't even know you and come to purchase your product and services. So I think it's a time to get back to the basics. If I sell tomatoes, can, Diana, can Tony, can my neighbors, can my, my parents, my grandparents buy those same products? I think those are a few strategies that can help us get quick wins in terms of cash flow right now.
I think that's a very interesting one. But again, I also think it boils down to the entrepreneur's attitude. And I guess, Dana, I've sat through your sessions and I'm telling you, I keep learning. This is the second year, and I keep learning. And I mean, it's something that maybe would be important for entrepreneurs outside there to understand. Again, I personally think not everyone is an entrepreneur, but you can build that attitude over time. Dana, can you explain more about that entrepreneurial attitude and how it can help in capturing the new opportunities like Paula has just mentioned?
Okay, so interesting. So the attitude of the entrepreneur has never been more relevant. I can tell you. We have had those sessions, but I hope that the entrepreneurs who have been in those sessions are applying what we have learned in the class. Because the attitude of the entrepreneur is that you identify opportunities and exploit them. Paula just mentioned it. People are exploiting opportunities. COVID-19. Other entrepreneurs are saying it is so difficult, we can't survive. Other entrepreneurs are making so much money. You can't even believe it. Okay? So it is about being obsessed with opportunity. When you're obsessed with opportunity, COVID-19 will not stop you from continuing with what you're doing. I mean, you simply switch. You remain flexible and say, okay, if we are not able to run this business now, what can we do? I'll give you an example. Ladies have been suffering at home. This is real. Ladies have been suffering at home. Ladies can't take it when they can't do their nails. They can't take it when they don't do their hair. And these young boys, women and ladies, the saloon people have been moving to people's houses. That is the attitude of the entrepreneur. They walk. So it is about saying there is this opportunity and I need to take advantage, because clearly there's no transport. Yeah. It's not easy. But some of these proactive young entrepreneurs have borders. They have bikes and they are booked. I know a young man who has booked throughout the week. So in terms of the attitude of the entrepreneur, that is proactivity. You have anticipated. You do not know what is going to happen, but you now know it is important for me to move, to be mobile. If my customers call me, I'll reach them. Now, the entrepreneurs who are not maybe proactive are seated at home. They're waiting for the president to announce.
They're waiting for the lockdown to end, which lockdown is overly extended.
Exactly. And the window of opportunity does not remain open for long, because when COVID closes, some of these will no longer, it will not be easy, because now everybody will be back in business. So the attitude of the entrepreneur is being obsessed with opportunity, is being proactive, it is being creative, it is being resilient. Because during this time, we want to hang in there. Because we have no choice. We have to run to keep in business. We have to hang in there. But then we have to think. We have to be creative. And we have to be obsessed with, we really want to be obsessed with this opportunity. So for me, that's it. Being proactive, being creative, being resilient, looking for opportunity, even where other people do not see the opportunity. Like what Paula said, people have completely switched.
Right. Oh, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are discussing SMEs. We're discussing small businesses, traders, startups. How do you stay relevant? How do you grow your business? How do you become better as a business? But most important of all, how do we really activate this entrepreneurial mindset in the minds of young enterprising people? But again, I don't want to say that this is only strictly for the young people, because now more than ever, people end up, retiring and going into entrepreneurship, which is quite an interesting thing that we've been seeing around. But ladies and gentlemen, remember to keep watching this. We're on SME Connect on YouTube. Follow the channel on YouTube, SME Connect. Go like, subscribe, and we're on Facebook and Twitter, Comrade Otoa. So Paula, we've just been talking about that entrepreneurial attitude, and again, for many who do not have that attitude, business planning and analysis is important. The reason why I'm saying this is that Uganda is one of the most entrepreneurial countries. Recently, I think we were the most entrepreneurial country. I don't know if we're still the most entrepreneurial country, but I've always told people that the rate at which we're opening businesses every day at the Uganda Registration Services Bureau is also almost equal to the rate at which businesses are dying every single day.
Indeed.
And the reason why they're dying is because they do not have the right systems in place. They do not have the right financial systems in place, management systems, and so on and so forth. But most important of all, business planning and analysis. Because if you ask any business where their plan, or I mean, what their planning is for the next 2, 3, 4 years, I'll tell you that almost 80% of them do not actually have that. They work ad hoc.
Yeah.
What is your pulse on the business planning and analysis sense of things?
So we start with mindset, which is interesting that you bring up, you and Diana. We start with mindset because we realize there are a lot of limiting beliefs as well as barriers to people starting even the planning stage. So we have to get through those before we get to the nitty-gritty of the business development stuff. And one of the things that I wanted to add on to what Diana said about mindset, we always ask the entrepreneurs, like I mentioned earlier, to be aware of what it is that they're offering. And then the second thing we tell them is to have a focus on servitude and impact. I think you attend or get Ugandans to transition from that mindset of Zemfunirawa to like, how can I serve these people? So that's a big shift even before we go to the business planning stage. Because what you find is when you start opening a business model, when you start opening a business plan, the Ugandan guy, the ladies are like, so now in this thing, where do I make money? So that's a huge mindset shift already. And then, of course, we're encouraging entrepreneurs to execute. And so the two things that we're doing right now, in terms of business planning, goal setting, strategy development, analysis, and all of those, in working with Ugandan businesses, we realize we can't say, that 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. It doesn't work. It's not exciting to any of the competitive entrepreneurs. And I've come to appreciate it myself. So we do two main things. We do the business model, which I'm sure Diana can speak more about. We open up those 9 elements. What's your unique selling proposition? What are the key channels? What are your key activities? Exactly who is your customer? Who are your customer segments? If it's not just one group, what's the cost structure? What's the revenue model? And let's roll. Once we have that, we try to gear our entrepreneurs towards execution. And so what we came up with was a list of 11 business development areas that we break down into 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So we plan short-term activities with these businesses across those business development areas. Again, because Ugandan businesses are focused on maybe 1, 2, 3 things at max. 1, obviously, is customer acquisition. So where is the money? 2, for some of them is branding, which is still an issue. And then 3, business structure. So they know they have to register, but there's still a lot of issues. Service delivery, as you both know, is a huge issue. Structuring is an issue. Business processes, major issue. Budgets and stuff like that. And so what we get them to do is just 2 things. Develop your business model with us across those 9 elements so you can see the whole picture, at least for your first year of operation. And then what are we going to execute on right now? So for branding, what are you going to do? For business structures, what are you going to do? In terms of customer acquisition, have you got your low-hanging fruit or, built on your social capital like Diana was saying? So that's kind of just what we're working with right now.
Diana, you are very passionate about this area as well, business planning and how it has an impact on your business operations. But I just wondering, can you give me more of what you think about business planning for a business and how it can enhance a business, but most important of all, the issue in regard to access to finance? Because right now, access to finance is going to be very crucial, and business planning is essential in that in that step. Just elucidate that more for me.
Oh yeah, certainly finance is very important. I mean, it's a very important component of any business because it validates the activities of a business. And if you're not able to generate revenues, then you're not able to keep in business. So, sorry, but I was saying that definitely any entrepreneur that is going to survive the COVID-19 has to really be thinking about their finances right now, because the revenues have not been coming in. Of forecasts have been done, but I'd just like to go back to a little bit to what Paula said, talking about what are your offerings, because the offerings that the businesses have at this time will actually determine their financial health, even immediately after COVID. So it goes back to the ability of a business to think quickly and say, what are we able to do that can keep the finances coming in? And also giving them opportunity at this time to plan better, because a business that relies, I would actually think that a business right now, businesses need to think about not staying or doing one thing or offering one product or service, but perhaps thinking about the different things that can be done. Because if I'm not able to make money from one area of my business, then I'm able to make money in another area. And COVID-19 has provided us that opportunity to think again and say, what else can we do? So you know, as a small business person, that I have different revenue streams that can keep my business going. But certainly, it is going to be very important that now is a time for the businesses to think about how are we going to get out of this? Where are we going to get the money? And it would be now very important for businesses to think about organizations that possibly finance, businesses, maybe not necessarily a bank, but maybe a circle, maybe a social group or something like that. But this period provides a very important point in the lifetime of any business to think about how do they plan for their finances. But most important to say, we want to, in case something like this happens, you want to have different revenue streams that keeps the money coming.
Oh, that's quite interesting. You know, because again,
add on to that, Tony.
Yeah, please, Paula,
so
please.
access to finance for small businesses, especially in Uganda or any economic environment that mirrors ours, like Uganda, you know, Rwanda, Burundi, has always been tricky, of course. As you both know, as everyone knows, it's even we are encouraging businesses to innovate and adapt, you know, their product offering or their value offering. Is the same way we're encouraging them to expand their thinking or open their minds about access to financing. One of the things that we're talking to our small businesses about, which I actually learned about in Buckingham, is customer acquisition as a funding strategy. As you all know, I mean, there's hardly any circle, any investment club, any bank that you're going to go to ask for money that's not going to ask, what have you already done? How are you operating? What does your cash flow look like? How many customers do you have? And so businesses need to be able to first bridge that first gap. So for service-based businesses, I mean, I was a traditional consultant. Many of the businesses that we were working with are asking for my advice. We're having these Zoom meetings and they're paying me. So really, I don't see why any service-based business conducting their consultancy through technology and getting paid. I mean, but we have a product-based business as well. There is two ladies, both who are quantity surveyors for big firms in the country, but they want to sell baby-proofing products for homes. They're really excited now that the carpenters are open. And they can make, you know, some of the wood products. But what they had done is, because they hadn't saved and they didn't have any money, they were able to get 23 customers from their friends, family, you know, workmates, people who they know have toddlers and babies that will need baby proofing in their homes. And they were able to close them. Yeah, they were able to close them with their designs and with their plans. So I think maybe as of yesterday, 18 of them had already pre-ordered, which is a common thing. It's a common revenue model abroad to pre-order something that you don't physically have. So they're going to receive their products in a month's time. So all those are small ways to access financing, even without having financing yourself, or going through the traditional route of, you know, business planning to approach a bigger investor, a bigger funder. I just wanted to mention that.
I think this is going to be a very testing time, but I mean, again, a very interesting learning time for a lot of businesses, especially the small businesses, because what I have seen over and over is that in times of crisis, it's the guys who are innovative, the entrepreneurs who Diana talked about, who stand out. And even post-crisis, they end up becoming stronger and stronger because, one, they are more renowned because there were very few people who were doing what they were doing during that time, but also, the time of crisis. But also, two, they are, in so much of a way providing more because they've understood how it works and are in control of how it works. But I just want to just go back to something that I think is really crucial. And I know we've tapped on it before, but I think never a time or never at any one time has the issue of technology been important for businesses, especially your small, even the mama mboga, the woman who's selling you the fene and whatever. Because right now you're at home, you're sending a WhatsApp or you're sending a text message. All of that is technology. Can Diana tell me, what is it that you guys are thinking of in terms of technology for business, or what have you been doing in terms of technology for business? How are you helping small businesses, your Duka, to understand that this is important for business growth and business sustainability?
Okay, so at the center, we have had our breakfast meetings, our monthly breakfast meetings, and one of the subjects we have talked about over and over again has been how we can leverage IT in our businesses. We were encouraging our businesses to sell using social media. We were encouraging them to acquire customers. We were encouraging them to advertise and do lots of things and stay in touch with their customers using technology. So one of the things we've done and we've talked about and shared with our entrepreneurs is the importance of technology. And interestingly, one of the studies we have conducted in markets is how women use the mobile phone to run their businesses better. And indeed, we found that the women, they use their mobile phone using text message, maybe calling or something like that, or even saving money or using mobile money to do that. But also, COVID-19 provides us an opportunity to think again and say, wait a minute, could we have done this better? Can we do this even better? In one of the television shows I was watching on NTV, I think, was a company, a digital company that was providing entrepreneurs with an app that allowed people to order on the phone. So we have encouraged entrepreneurs to embrace technology, but COVID-19 gives us an even better opportunity to emphasize that where we are now, we can't even do without it. So it is important that whoever it is, even when you think you're so micro, as long in Uganda people have mobile phones, whatever, or maybe a smartphone or a mobile phone, you can do something with that mobile phone. And I think that is going to be our focus, out of this, or even during this, to encourage entrepreneurs to take advantage of technology. And I know that quite a number of entrepreneurs, use social media, but they do not actually see the value of that to their business. Now is the time for the entrepreneurs to be able to see that. So for us, I can tell you that we are encouraging entrepreneurs. We have talked about it, we have studied it, we have conducted research, and we have indeed found that there is a very positive relationship between the performance of the business and the ability of the entrepreneur to do IT. Of course, we've been a bit slow. We have been a bit slow in adopting some of these technologies. Yeah. But I believe that COVID is going to it is going to make this faster. I think people are now embracing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I mean, on a personal level, I've really embraced technology in the last 1 month. My producer Shadrach has actually gotten us on proper Zoom licenses and all these things, and I'm thinking, wow, we are not using the free Zoom. We've had to grow with this whole thing. But now let me now take this now to a more personal area, which is personal for both of you. You're all training institutions or you're training entities, and again, technology has really tested you, I guess, in these recent times. How have you, or how are you innovating and taking your training offerings? For instance, some of the businesses that are listening to this might want to work with you and get some of this information from you. How have you transformed off the normal classroom setting into the digital world?
I can say something about that. Okay. Okay,
I'll
Paula.
let Diana go first.
Okay, thank you. I just quickly wanted to share that we have had a workshop. We had a workshop on Zoom. We were doing work for the Private Sector Foundation Uganda. We are supporting 9 vocational institutions to implement a World Bank funded project. These institutions are training people, giving them practical skills and also recognizing prior learning. And we had this program and we had a workshop last week. And we continue the workshop this week. We have also scheduled our monthly breakfast meeting to take place via Zoom. So we just have to adapt, to change.
Yeah. Paula.
We are realizing that a lot of the businesses that we're working with, even entrepreneurs that we're working with, some are in formal employment, some have side hustles, but even the entrepreneurs that have fully taken on their businesses, they don't have time. And so we had already realized last year that we needed to transition to digital, but we realized that digital had to have a couple of things. One of the things, as you both know, that we struggle with is data. And so when we were transitioning, you know, all of these business development skills online onto a course portal that we now have, we realized that all of our content had to be to get the video lessons content, they needed to be able to get the audio, and they needed to be able to get the text. And so with 2,000 shillings of data, you can just download all of the transcripts from our portal if you have purchased one of our courses, or on our free resource library on our site, and be able to get the content that you need there. On top of that, on top of having meetings like Diana was saying, we realized that, you know, businesses are still going to need the coaching and mentorship. They're still going to need the advisory. They're still going to need some form of assessment that I'm sure Diana can speak more about. And we needed to find a way to be able to offer those things to them virtually, in a time that's flexible for them. And so we're using a lot of Zoom and Skype to be able to offer the same business development advisory services that we offered other more bigger businesses, small, medium businesses, now to the everyday entrepreneur through technology on top of the course.
So I can see technology really being something really key there. But now, before we end, there's something about staffing. You know, we all agree that SMEs play a very huge role in terms of employment, but the next few months are going to be very testing. In fact, some of the companies have laid off their staff, and this is something that is worrying for many people. What do you think would be the best advice for businesses to be able to survive, but also maintain the staff that they need? Because it's important for us to understand that human capital is crucial to the lifeline of a company or any business. Dana, how do we make sure that we keep the conversation of retaining employees on the payroll one that is crucial for all businesses?
Well, I mean, that's a tough one. It's a tough one because the big players have laid off, they've laid off staff, or they're putting them on half pay, or they're taking them to forced leave. But I feel that one of the most important things we need to do is to have a conversation with our employees. Let everybody understand the situation at hand. I may not even send you home, but also if we have not generated any revenues, it is not possible for me to pay you. But we can talk about it and together plan the way ahead, because it is good that the employees get involved in trying to understand the situations and perhaps even brainstorming the possible solutions. How we get out of this? So it is very difficult. I know one entrepreneur that has supported her employees, giving them food. During this time, she has not been paying them, but she has a farm. So she has provided them with food. If the entrepreneur has a way of maybe giving out a handout or helping in a way, but I wouldn't expect that if they have not been generating any revenues, then they definitely don't have the money to pay the staff. But also, what I feel is important in terms of going forward is to get into a conversation to understand what is the situation at hand, and brainstorming how best do we handle this. And perhaps if it happens that we open, then and work, and people get back to work, and then you're able to do something, then perhaps you can start paying people. But you can't pay people when you don't have money to pay them. I can tell you that even some government institutions, like education institutions, may not have money to pay salaries for staff. So it's not happening to the small people. But the question is, how are you able in your situation to handle it? And it's really about talking things over. And if the entrepreneur is able to help your staff survive during this time, okay. So for me, that's it. Yeah.
Right. Paula, just as a parting shot, what do you think about that situation in regard to the staffing? I mean, you're helping businesses to get back onto their feet, but are you discussing the issue of staffing as well, retaining staff or retaining employees?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are discussing that. I think that we are trying to classify the teams and the staff that can work remotely as well as those that can't. And so people like social media, graphics, all of those things can work remotely. I know many businesses, including myself, I've hired 2 new people that I've never seen. I've never met them physically, but they're working for me and I pay them, and they have been for the past 5 weeks now. So, I mean, another thing for bigger organizations like Stanbic, as you would know, I mean, we don't work with those kinds of big organizations, but one of the things that we're thinking about for the medium enterprises that we did work with that are asking our advice, we're asking them to further classify the outputs of this staff in terms of deliverables. And so instead of having, the traditional thing where you earn a salary no matter what you do, what are the deliverables, that directly or indirectly impact the company and be paid by those per contract, ad hoc consultancy. A lot of our contracts and staff have that leeway to transition someone from an employee to an independent contractor. So all of those are options because you're seeing exactly what your business is benefiting and you're paying for that. Now, I know practically that's, these strategies and these ideas help, but they are not practical for all kinds of businesses, like the tourism industry or hotels and stuff like that have had to lay off, 200, 300 people. What I've encouraged one of those businesses who I was lucky to speak with last week was, it might not be possible now, but for the people who you have to make redundant, for the people who you have to lay off, why not offer, these redundancy business training packages? Like I know a lot of are doing abroad, they have to lay off a lot of people. They're giving them redundancy packages that are tied to self-employment. And so they're giving them the training, they're giving them the skills, they're giving them the networks and things that are going to help them set up their businesses because they can't hire them anymore. So all of those are options.
Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you so much for joining us. But before we end, Diana, you had a whole center for entrepreneurship. Let's assume I am losing my job tomorrow, or I have no job at the moment, and I want to venture into something. What should I take on to become an entrepreneur? What does it take for me to become an entrepreneur from your side?
Well, there has to be an opportunity. There has to be an opportunity for you, for you to say that I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And usually this opportunity shows up when you're trying to solve a problem. Right now, there are so many problems. COVID-19 and even post-COVID, we are going to be with problems around us. And entrepreneurship thrives on solving somebody's problem. The entrepreneur is able to create value to satisfy a need or solve a problem or meet a gap and unmet need in the market. And they go to start a business. So it's really going to start with, what is a problem out there? How can I address the problem? How can I ease somebody's pain so they can pay me? Secondly, it will be about passion. Do you like what? Do you really like it? Is it just about doing what somebody else is doing because you've seen somebody making money when you don't even know, how they're doing it? So for me, entrepreneurship is about identifying the problem and solving that problem to meet, somebody's need, and then you get paid for that. It is also about looking at who is doing something and they're not doing it really well, and I feel that I can even do it better than them. And sometimes it's not always that you have to solve a problem. Sometimes you are just you're just passionate about something, and you create a product or you find a service that somebody can buy. That takes a lot of creativity and innovation. But the way to start quickly, now we already have opportunities around us. I can tell you that the delivery business, it will change. The people who have been doing delivery, if they think, even after COVID, they'll be able to build quite successful businesses. Because everybody now knows that, well, I can stay at home, I can keep busy at work, I don't even have to go to do the shopping. We now know. We thought it was not possible. We now know. So it is about the opportunity, identifying the opportunity. Identifying the problem and trying to say, okay, how do I address this problem? And then I start a business. But most important, do I like it? Do I enjoy it? When it becomes hard, will I want to continue with it? And there you'll be able to start a business.
Thank you very much, ladies. It's been an honor speaking to two of you. Two amazing ladies at the far front of the entrepreneurship world in Uganda. This is really, really amazing. And again, talking about the real issues that affect the common guy, your startup, your trader, your normal muntu wawansi. This has been really, really encouraging. Yeah. But also what I think has been my biggest takeaway from this conversation has been the issue of the why. Why are you in it? Why are you doing it? Why are you solving it? And the moment you answer the why, everything comes into play. And I thank you so much for that. For those who've been watching us, remember always to join us on YouTube. And we are in the channel, which is the SME Connect channel. Go onto YouTube, subscribe, and again, Comrade Otoa on Twitter and Comrade Otoa on Facebook. Thank you so much, ladies, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks.